just give us your name and title? Yeah.
Dr. Ian Forbes, consultant in the social sciences.
Yeah. Cameras on speed, thank you.
My name's Dave Birch. I'm a director of Consult Hyperion.
Good. And I'm Nigel Gilbert. I'm the chair of the Royal Academy of Engineering's working group on privacy and surveillance. The issue here is that there are good things about these coming technologies. There are also bad things. And what we've got to do is we've got to sort out the balance between the two. There is a dilemma between, if you like, security on the one hand and privacy on the other hand. The report isn't saying that we must be we must go all the way on the aspect of privacy or all the way on the side of security. What the report says is that we need to anticipate what's going to be coming up and think carefully about how to balance the two. And in that sense, we've got to resolve the dilemmas.
Well, that's why you have to take a systems approach, because obviously any chain is only as strong as its weakest link. If you build an entire system on the security of perhaps a single database, then you're asking for trouble. You're building in a future data disaster. Engineering is about putting systems together that can fail safe, that have contingency.
I may say I have nothing to hide, but I must also be able to say it's none of your business, that my details have to be kept secret and private if I wish that that's the case. I'm prepared to give up information that will give me the right to buy goods and services, but nobody necessarily has to know who I am if I want to buy a newspaper in a store, and for the same reason nobody has to know who I am if I want to buy something on the internet.
That's right, yes. The thing about these changes is that now everything is digital. It's very easy not only to keep all this data but also to search it. For example, it's increasingly easy just to find out where you might have been, last week. What we call Googling space-time. Just like you can Google to find information on the internet at the moment about what's happening now, you'll be able to Google to find out what happened in the past.
I think the idea that any technology will be a kind of magic bullet against terrorism is just simply wrong. And I think that the Royal Academy is doing a very important job by explaining that very clearly. If we're going to have more security, we have to do it by assembling a whole range of technologies and processes and procedures. The idea that an identity card or an electronic passport is going to solve the problem is just plain wrong.
The Royal Academy of Engineering has been highly concerned with the issues of privacy and security for some time, and it thought it appropriate to bring together a range of experts, scientists and social scientists, to consider in depth the issues that people face in their ordinary daily lives.
What the report is saying is that we ought to be thinking more carefully about those implications. For example, when you go to the supermarket and you hand over your loyalty card, that means that everything you've bought that day is recorded in a database. It's probably going to stay there for pretty much forever now that data storage is so cheap. What happens in 20 years' time? Could the government or could the supermarket come back to you and say, well, 20 years ago you bought an awful lot of donuts, perhaps that's the reason why you're now suffering from diabetes. Do we want that kind of surveillance? These are the kinds of issues that we need to think about.
I think there are concerns expressed by some of the experts and some organisations like Liberty. The Royal Academy of Engineering is concerned that some developments take place without being properly considered and constructed in ways that actually serve the public rather than subject them to new processes and technologies. And I think as people think about how they might go about their daily lives, they want to know that they can exercise control when necessary to ensure that they have security but can protect their interests and those of their family.
People think that there's a choice to be made between security and privacy, but we think if the technologies are used in the right way, we can improve both. People can have more security and more privacy.
In the first place, I want people to discuss this. I want people to have a greater sense of the way that technology is developing and some of the dangers, but also the opportunities that it creates for us. And I want them to be demanding better engineering of those technological developments.
Well, I would say a very good example at the moment would be ID cards. People are very focused on ID cards as a way of increasing security. But they don't understand how modern technology in the form of computers and encryption and biometrics can make ID cards that are intelligent. So, for example, your ID card is perfectly capable of telling the pub that you're over 18, but it doesn't have to tell the pub who you are.
Oh, a number of things, but most importantly that the government should be making sure that it knows what's coming up ahead. And there are a number of ways in which they can do that, for example, that they need to think about the possibilities of disasters, as we get more and more data collected about individuals by the government, by organisations, then we have to plan ahead. We have to plan for contingencies for possible disasters and how we're going to rescue a situation.
Now, there's no reason that my movements should be trackable as an individual. I think I should be able to move freely and without being monitored.
As a technologist, I found the working group very, very interesting because the cross-disciplinary input to this kind of difficult problem is really important. And I think the way that the social scientists were able to articulate some of the issues around privacy actually made it easier for the technologists to come up with potential solutions.
I think it's reasonable for us to say, if we have data that pertains to us as individuals and our families, that we should have some control over that and have a say in how it's used, what access we have to it. And that these arrangements need to be organised in a way that is easy and accessible for us. Now, the Royal Academy of Engineering has access to a whole host of experts who can assist in these processes.
Well, remember, the Academy's goal is not to step into the politics. The role of the Academy is to try and find engineering solutions to the problems that the politicians have defined. If we
So I get distracted.